Guys, should we get into the big story of the weekend? The U.S. women, baby, they're gold once again. Let's go. A 1-0 win against Brazil in that gold medal match, thanks to a lovely second-half strike from Mallory Swanson. Alyssa Nair coming up massive once again with big saves. I mean, the Emma Hayes era could not have asked for a better start. This team looked determined, inspired, dominant. Emma Hayes spoke after the game about how proud she was of the grit that she saw out on the pitch in what was a very tough, condensed schedule. The U.S. have now won 5 Olympic gold medals, which is pretty remarkable. But for some reason, this one it just feels like a return to dominance. It feels like we're back where we should be, which is at the top of the mountain in women's soccer. Alexis, when you think about this gold medal and what we were able to get under the tutelage of Emma Hayes, how big is this moment for U.S. soccer?
I think no one has said it as good as you just did, which is a return to dominance. And when I think about U.S. women's national team in the past, they seemed like a height on a mountain too tall to reach. And so many teams would gas themselves so much, like waste all their energy just trying to compete at the level of the U.S. women's national team, that it was hard to beat them. And I look at Brazil, outshot them, more shots on target, overwhelmingly had a much better game, but you just cannot beat this team. And Emma Hayes, through what you call them, like the torture areas, torture zones, like she really forced this first 11 with a few additions here and there, but a very small rotation of players. She forced them to gut it out. And she forced them in a way where I'm like, yo, she brought them back to former glory where you cannot beat us. It doesn't matter if we're tired. It doesn't matter if you're running past me at one point. You will not get past the back line. If you give me a chance, I will take a good shot. I will find a way to put pressure on your keeper and score a beautiful goal. I think this team has flourished under her in a way I never expected.
Couldn't agree more.
She gave this team personality and identity on the pitch, and didn't stifle any of the self-expression off the pitch, which especially for this team that has such a vibrant personality, we have learned to love a lot of these players because they represent us at the highest level of women's football. They have now delivered on the pitch with a very strong identity. And that's what I see in Emma Hayes with her rhetoric, the way she speaks, the way that she has instilled this type of cutthroat mentality in the players is noteworthy, especially in such a small amount of time. And it just seems like everybody is on board. We've seen very different facets of play throughout the tournament, and I think there still are some kinks that need to be ironed out. But overall, we saw sometimes dominance on a low block, in a transition game against Germany, and then in the knockout stage. Most importantly, because you don't need to win a trophy, it doesn't need to be tiki-taka the whole way through, boom, 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 complete dominance. No, this was grind it out. In Spanish, there's a word I really like it, but it doesn't translate well, but it's hierarchy. It's like you're at the top of the hierarchy. You have this class that no matter what, the U.S. never trailed at any point in this tournament. No matter what the circumstance, you can get it done. And there were moments where Brazil was better by a decent amount, I think, in that first half. But they know how to, in those moments of intensity, of struggle, of suffering, how to ride that storm and eventually achieve their goal, which is a gold medal, and then they're gold medalists.
Gold medalists.
I think I was most impressed at that word that you just talked about, suffering. When you have such a talented team, when you have players who are probably used to attacking more, the commitment to get back, Lindsey Horan, maybe not her best in terms of the offensive prowess that we're used to seeing, definitely not what we saw at the World Cup last summer, but the commitment to get back and defend. Sam Coffey, she was my unsung hero for this group, and I love talking about her because she epitomizes what Emma Hayes is about. It's being good on both sides of the ball, winning in both boxes. They were the deserved winners, and Brazil, they definitely gave them some scares, but I mean, just going toe-to-toe with a team that looks to be resurgent in Brazil, that they had a close call with in the W Gold Cup in the final. I think this was kind of the turning of the page for the women's national team and reasserting their dominance.
Can I throw out a similar circumstance for American Olympics? the way that this team has bounced back, it's a similar feeling of how U.S. bounced back. The U.S. men's basketball team bounced back after they didn't win gold in Athens 2004, and they ended up winning it in Beijing.
Yeah,
it's
I think
like
that's a good
there's a certain
comparison.
expectation from the U.S. 4 gold medals before this, especially after a pretty bad World Cup for American standards. They come back and they just charged through it. And they got it done.
And the significance, and also similar to basketball and men's basketball, is the rest of the world has closed that gap.
Yeah.
And maybe not entirely, but we're seeing significant jumps from some other nations to where they can potentially go toe-to-toe, but to show that, and I forget who it is, I think it was Pep who said, football, when you're a child, it's fun. It's a game. But when you become a pro, it's about who can suffer the most. It's about suffering. And in this case, I think it showed U.S., we used to be able to beat you with athleticism. Now, you're not going to be able to beat us. We can survive the best you can give us. And what a wonderful... And Emma Hayes clearly loves being the U.S. women's national team coach. She clearly loves being in America. She has such an affinity for what happened here. For her to specifically say, I got chances in America I would have never gotten in England. For her to say that, I think puts such a wonderful sort of painting or picture of what the world was for U.S. for the women's soccer game here in America that maybe a lot of us didn't get to see, that they all saw, which is a place that would allow you to harbor your talent.
So here's my question. I mean, Emma Hayes, she made me incredibly emotional with all her post-match interviews and saying, to your point, I was made here. America made me who I am. She said that this was the proudest moment of her entire career, which is crazy because she has won so much throughout the course of her career. I get the impression, and I think we all agree, that this job is hers for however long she wants it. So when you look at some of these players, Michael Lahoud, what is the ceiling for this group under Emma Hayes? Because it feels like, I mean, they've just won a gold medal, but Nico said, there are areas where there are still room for improvement, as there always is. But where do you see this team evolving under Emma Hayes?
The sky's the limit. I think because what Emma Hayes did with the group was they got younger. Going into the World Cup, there was a need for that. The old guard changing from last summer, there was a need to get younger. And you saw that in the W Gold Cup, playing younger players, the rotation of players coming in and really carving out their own niche.
She decided she's the one that decided to not take Alex Morgan.
That was a big decision.
That's a big call, and it's seemingly. I mean, at this point, you got to say she got it right.
I will say this about her: watching how she came into this tournament, 2 months or less in preparation, you really see the difference between a good manager and a good coach. A good coach sets you up for tactics, their coaching philosophy. A good manager, they create a team. They create a culture. They create an ideology. And it really was epitomized in the press conference after the gold medal match. Yes, Emma Hayes takes the flowers saying she's a born winner. She was made for this moment. But Lindsey Horan, she got crucified on social media. And what did she do? She put her arm around her captain and said, hey, I wouldn't be in this moment without her. She helped me. She was like a second coach in this team, and she gets all the flowers. That is what Emma Hayes is about. And I think success is there for the long run.
Winning a gold medal gives you an opportunity to celebrate, and all flowers to the entire squad and the whole team. If we look back at this tournament, I think there's still a lot of questions around this midfield. And I think there's still a lot of questions as to how Lindsey Horan completely fits into the plan moving forward. Maybe it's a moot point because of her age, and eventually she'll be phased out, as anyone will at a certain age. Alex Morgan, we've seen it already. But I think there are still some questions around the midfield. And for me, I agree. Ceiling, sky's the limit. Anything can happen. But I do want to see, I mean, backline, I've got all the confidence in the world. Triple espresso, I'll take 2. Okay? that midfield, though, I still got a lot of questions.
There's a lot of promise in Corbin Albert as well. And she decided also, amid everything that's going on with Corbin Albert, to choose her to be a part of a midfield and Sam Coffey and partner the right people together to...
She made it very simple. She put out what she believed to be her best players.
Teams. Her game in, game out.
And she didn't waver. And she didn't make those substitutions.
She also showed the tactical wrinkles in that final. Sam Coffey was playing defensive midfield up until the final. And you get a different version of Sam Coffey that we see in the NWSL, that versatility to play as a 6 and as an 8, getting her further forward, creating some of the most chances because she can press, win the ball, and also get back and defend. And I love the versatility. That was something that she said that she wanted to get more out of with the players that she chose. Versatile players, not just in the front 3, but also in the midfield. And didn't even get to see much of Jaden Shaw, who we were hyping up. That's why I said the ceiling is just unbreakable with this side.
It really is. I want to give flowers to two players in particular, one Mallory Swanson and the other Alyssa Nair, who I thought was
Alyssa Nair was unreal.
Sensational throughout the tournament, but certainly in this final. Mallory Swanson coming off that torn patella last year that knocked her out of the World Cup. 3 surgeries she's had. It for her to be the one that gets the winner in a gold medal match just felt so poetic. And for Alyssa Nair, we've talked about it a lot on Morning Footy, how there were big question marks about her last year and her performance with Chicago Red Stars. And is she still the #1 keeper? And
we were questioning it.
We were
hardcore.
100%.
It deserved to be
Come
questioned.
World Cup.
Her club form was absolutely out of whack.
The bounce back was unbelievable.
But everyone bounced back. Also, would we have noticed how amazing Naomi Girma is? We know she's good, but would we have noticed how amazing she was if a different manager was in charge of this team? I don't think so. She put players in a position to really shine individually and as a team. Naomi Girma came out of this tournament looking like the #1 defender in the history of the women's game.
Crystal Dunn was good too. There was a lot of great versions of a lot of these players.
Yeah, it was pretty special. And another thing that Emma Hayes said post-match that really resonated with me was that she gave all the credit to the players.
Yeah.
She's
a smart leader.
She is. I would run through.
I would have started that with "You're welcome." You know what I mean? She is.
I wonder how she is as a mom. That intrigues me because she's such a good leader.
Did you see
and she's so proud of her son.
The videos of her at the after parties, which are sensational, by the way. The U.S. women always know how to throw an after party. But she's got a drink in one hand, her kid on her hip, and the other.
Drinks up, she's dancing.
She's dancing, and I was like, this is all kind of vibes that I want to be here for.
Can I say one thing before we go to break?
Of course.
That I think we need to just say from the Brazilian perspective.
Yes.
Because it's if I'm a Brazilian fan, I would feel robbed. I'm not saying that I'm not saying Brazil was robbed. I'm saying if I'm a Brazilian fan, I would feel robbed because there were 2 critical calls that ended up being a detriment to the success of Brazil. The penalty in the first half where Crystal Dunn, I believe, trips up, I forget which Brazilian player, it might have been Portillo or Ludmila. In the era of VAR where anything and everything can be scrutinized, that's a pen. How many soft pens like that have we been given?
Yeah.
Like when I saw it in real time, I said, all right, whatever, like get up. And then I saw it again and I went, oh, they're gonna check this, and they never checked it, right? So this is where my argument against VAR, you can manipulate it however you want the game to go of your VAR. You can send the ref to the monitor, you cannot send the ref to the monitor. And then if you're not gonna be so minute about small context like that, then is the offside, right? The goal that, in my opinion, I really tried to look at it objectively. At first I went, okay, you can interpret Sophia Smith impacting the play by running towards the ball, essentially on top of it. She shies away from it afterwards, but she impacts the play by attack. She's going towards the ball. I find it very hard to interpret it the other way, that it's not offside. Every time I see it, I think it's more offside. Nonetheless, that doesn't mean that the U.S. doesn't deserve it. They fully deserve to be gold medalists.
Yes.
Yeah.
I agree.
I don't hate America, so I'm not going to.
No, I don't hate America either. Don't get me wrong.
I think you're making a great point. I have the same feeling watching that goal, and I was screaming, went down to the pub in Stamford, and definitely had one too many beers to celebrate, but I'll take it. But that was an offside play. It was. Sophia Smith does interfere, but it's football. It's imperfect.
As the rules say, if you look at Law 11 of Association Football, she makes an impact on the play. I understand she's very far away. You can't think that the defenders are so far away, how could they have gotten to the ball? Yeah, but the person who's taking advantage of her illegal position is impacting the play by going onto the ball.
It could be interpreted a couple different ways because she never actually touches it.
But that doesn't matter. That doesn't matter.
She also doesn't attempt to pass or shot. She doesn't.
That doesn't matter. That doesn't matter. That doesn't matter. That doesn't. It doesn't say no, but it doesn't say it in the laws. But this is again what I'm going to.
About an American doing it?
No, this is.
It doesn't matter.
Again, this is what, and this is not. It's not the U.S.'s fault.
Right.
It's not the U.S.'s fault whatsoever. The U.S. played the game that they were given, and they're gold medalists and fully deserved. My issue is with VAR. You can use it when you want. You can use it when you don't want. And we're at a point in time where football is more controversial with VAR, and there's more skepticism with VAR than there was without it. Gold medal final, a gold medal match. We shouldn't be having these doubts in our head at such a big stage.
I have no doubts. The U.S. women won gold, and that's the story.
And very deserved, and very deserved.
Thank you
And
very
congrats
much.
to Marta for a storied
Absolutely.
Olympic career.
This is it.
Marta.
C'est la vie.
Right?
Absolute
For now.
legend.
Yeah, for now.
Absolute legend.